Well, welcome to today's rant. Unbelievable day here in the Carolinas. Give you the weather first, then the sports, then the news. Weather here is like 70 degrees. I don't know how it could get any more perfect. Leaves are starting to turn, and what an awesome day. I've had a great day of meetings with some of my staff. I did an interview with 2020. I don't know when they're going to show it. I didn't even ask them, but I did a pretty extensive interview. That was good. Also, just had such an awesome time. We've had so many great people here, so many friends. Mark Nuttall was here for a few days. We had a great time with him last night. Lance Wallnow. Also, Mahesh Chavda came over, and Peter Wins, two local pastors who are good friends, and had just an awesome get-together. Nikita Koloff showed off the Russian Nightmare. He came over for a little while, and I don't know, it just seems like a crisscrossing of, one of the things I like the most about my job and where we live, all kinds of great people just show up. And, a lot of them we're inviting to be speakers and things like that. I know I left at about 1 last night, and I heard others stayed much longer, and just hanging out, just fellowshipping. But when we do that, get together, some of the deepest stuff comes out. And got Mike Godfried here now, one of our favorite people, Coach Mike Godfried, one of the great college coaches, also had an ESPN program for years and well known, but he's here and going to be here through the weekend. He and I are going to be teaching our master's course, and he has really loaded for bear. I mean, he's got some incredible stuff to show on team building and everything. I'm so excited about. I love this master's course. I think we have found this is the best way to do it. All of our master's students come in for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, once a month, and we spend all day together. We start at 9 in the morning. Well, we have breakfast together, have lunch together, and then dinner. So we're together all day for 3 days. Really got to know them for the first weekend. Really love these people, and amazing, already well accomplished. Everybody in this class is just tremendous, and but this is I get edified and I learn an unbelievable amount every single weekend we do these, and that's coming up. Mike Godfried and I will be teaching it together this weekend, and looking forward to that. But Mike's cousin, one of his cousins, is John Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is his cousin too. They're two coaches. Both coached in the NFL. Jim coached the San Francisco 49ers and was the Stanford coach before that. He's doing a great job at Michigan now. And John coaches the Baltimore Ravens, who came in to play our Panthers this weekend. And Mike and I and another friend, Coach Ray Dempsey, one of the well-known coaches who mentored many of the coaches in both college and the pros right now. Just had a great time meeting with the Ravens coaches and players, and ate dinner with John Harbaugh, the head coach, and just really like that guy. He's like Mike Godfried. One thing I hear about Mike Godfried more than anybody else is he's the nicest person I ever met. Well, almost everybody says that about John Harbaugh too. Just an incredibly great guy, loves the Lord, was always talking about people, saying great things about everybody. Told us stories on some of his players, but they were good, they were humorous, but they were always uplifting. And what an awesome guy. But, our Panthers kind of beat him up in the game on Sunday. And, but, that happens, and Ravens have a great team, but they ran into a buzzsaw. But I sure enjoyed it. One of their players I really enjoyed, little time we spent with, was RG3. If any of you are following football, but Robert Griffin III, great quarterback at Baylor University, and of course for the Washington Redskins till he got hurt. Now he's kind of shifting around, but according to John, he is back in really good shape. He is, again, going to come. He was just the nicest person, fun-loving, laughed a lot, and just a wonderful guy. Really enjoyed RG3. But anyway, that's your weather and sports already done. Of course, one big thing in the news, this caravan heading our way. It's kind of like kind of feels like, when we track those hurricanes that are coming at us, doesn't it? But things seems to be melting away. I saw one news report where one day they said it got up to 14,000 people. The next day it was 7,000. Today it's 4,000. The point is, it seems to be fading away. It's still 1,000 miles away from our border, and who knows how many are going to actually make it to the border. Understand they're forming other caravans, and that's the big reason why it has to be stopped. If one was able to get in, it would be literally, we would be facing hundreds of thousands on our border virtually daily. And the tragic thing is that so many countries down there are in such bad shape. Their people are this desperate. And of course, we would love to take in everybody who's needy and desperate, but you can't do it that way. It's like, how many of you would open your house? Now, there are desperate people in your city. A lot of people were complaining and whining, and why don't we take in these needy, desperate people? Well, ask them to go take in some of the homeless people into their house. See how many of them would do it. And in this case, it'd be like, leave your door open so people can come anytime they want. Who's going to do that? But they want the country to do it. Of course, they don't see themselves having any personal responsibility or accountability, and that's how a lot of people think. It's how a lot of bleeding heart liberals tend to think. But they wouldn't do anything themselves. Have you ever seen the list? I mean, you compare Republicans and Democrats to how much they personally give of their own resources every year. It is dramatic. It is striking. And I remember one year, I think it was Joe Biden. It was Joe Biden. Had in his tax returns, or whatever he had to file for the voter thing, for the to be a candidate, he had given $200 that year. The whole year. And yet they want us, through our taxes and everything else, have to check up to give unlimited amounts to people. And this is the kind of thinking we're facing. This is where we are right now. So, but I spent some time with Mark Nuttall this morning, one of the smartest people I've ever known, probably one of 2 or 3 people, and this is true, in the world who really understands and has a grip on the state of world economics and monetary systems and everything else. I mean, Mark is on a whole level by himself. At one time, he was considered to be one of 3 or 5, I think, experts in the whole U.S. in some of these areas. And he's grown dramatically in that over the decades. Consultant to many nations, and a lot of our senators and congressmen and government. But he's been working on this for a long time now, for the small countries to form a trade alliance. He's met with the president of some of the countries in Central America and South America, how they could come together with other countries in Africa. And there are some other major nations that have said they want to be a part of it. Britain sent their trade ambassador and everything else, but many countries, and Israel is really maybe going to be a major part of this thing, that so that these nations working together could have the kind of clout where they could stand up to the EU and stand up to the U.S. and really, you know, in the world market, not just get crushed and pushed around so much, and have the kind of stuff happen that is resulting in this kind of caravan and the economic disasters that are going on in South and Central America. Because when people get in trouble, they tend to vote. When there's economic shaking, people tend to vote towards liberals or socialists. It's like we have to trust the government to fix this. Well, the government is the problem. Their mismanagement, they're thinking they understand economics, some of the stupid things they do that just mess up whole industries, like Venezuela did, like Brazil did, like many other countries. Now they seem to be wanting to turn around, but they turn to socialism. Never works. It always complicates things. But when people don't have a real serious trust in God, they tend to make government their God. The government will provide for us, and because it's the biggest entity they know. Well, anyway, Mark's doing some things to make some real practical, form some real practical solutions that can really help some of these countries. My goal is, let's pray for the people in this caravan, but not pray for their safety and all this. Some of them are just being abused every day. It's terrible what goes on in those things. But more than anything else, how could we, the U.S., holding all this wealth, all this power, right now help some of our neighbor countries to strengthen themselves and stabilize their governments and their economies so that their people don't want to leave? It's too good at home. Mark's doing some really practical things to make this happen. I'm so excited about it because, he shares with me a lot of the details, a lot of the plans, and I think he's on to something major. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Also, it doesn't seem that the rhetoric's being dialed down much. The most horrible thing, you talking about unclassy, you talking about low class, mean-spirited evil, where the hate was the hate mail the rabbi of that synagogue got, that was just shot up and many of his people killed, gets hate mail from liberals because he accepted a visit from President Trump. That is sick. That is evil and sick. After what they've been through, I can't imagine. But the best thing about this, so many people in America are seeing it for what it is. How evil that kind of thing is, that kind of, the rhetoric. But what do we do about it? I think we got to call it what it is. We got to stand. Let's see, what can we do to help bring understanding? How can we step out and do something ourselves that would, help in any way reduce this? Maybe even one or two people or a few people. But I can't imagine that, though. To send hate mail to people like that who are hurting so much over anything you disagree with. Listen, we got to rise to a new level here. Let's us decide we're going to do that. Do something here's a major problem. Let's say we're not going to be a part of the problem. We're going to try to be a part of the solution. And that doesn't mean we compromise our convictions. Doesn't mean we don't call evil evil when it manifests like it does in things like that. But let's don't return evil for good. Good for evil. Let's overcome evil with good. Sorry, I was getting that mixed up. People ask me all the time, how are you doing? I say, well, I'm partly cloudy. But I'm going to clear up one day. And so anyway, thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for watching today's rant.